Right. Wake up.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming back again for a busy afternoon, busy weekend, and lots of amazing guests that we've had this weekend. And we've got two more again now. We're joined by Sarah and Joelle from Drop Bear, and it's actually Sarah's birthday today, so we all got to wish her a happy birthday. So, happy birthday!
She's old now.
Yeah.
Have you? We've got the your yuzu pale ale that we're all drinking. That everyone at home's got one of these.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got mine here. So cheers.
Cheers. We're gonna open one as well. So
I'll have some in a glass, please, because I'm classy.
yeah, I'll drink it from the bottle like a commoner.
Well.
Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Should we start off just by hearing a little bit about your background? Because I know it's still relatively new that you've been doing this. So where did it start? What was your background before that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you like to start this one?
Sure. So basically, it was around like October 2018 was kind of when we started having like the initial idea. Stemmed from, I stopped drinking for a little while, and we'd always loved beer. We'd always loved craft beer. So we're still, going to the pub and going to bars and looking for what's available for someone who stopped drinking. And the answer was not a lot, and certainly not a lot of beer. Which was disappointing. So we kind of decided that maybe there was a little bit of a gap in the market there, particularly as well for craft beer, for something a little bit more interesting. So yeah, we kind of then went to Wilco and bought a massive saucepan, a jam thermometer, and some fermenters, and got to brewing.
Yeah.
And then it kind of escalated.
Yeah, I think we wanted to bring. What we missed when we went sober for a period was, with craft beer, you tend to get those more in-your-face flavors.
Yeah.
And that was something that we were really craving, and also a brand that was a little bit more edgy. We like to think we're kind of edgy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
We're going to go do gardening after this, so how edgy is that?
Don't look too closely.
So before the trip to Wilco to get supplies, what was your background? Did you have any brewing experience? How did that take up?
Well, I had zero experience, I'll be honest. By trade, I'm a linguist, so I speak French and Italian, and also a bit of Spanish. So I was working in a translation agency and doing a bit of translation on the side. And Sarah was working in local government. So completely different industries. However, Sarah had done a little bit of home brewing back in Australia. I had tried your beer actually, hadn't I?
Yes.
I remember sitting in Sarah's garage driveway, just drinking her stout, thinking this is the best stout I've ever had.
I was very alcoholic, and you were asleep in like an hour.
Yeah, I actually fell asleep an hour later. I was
yeah.
But yeah, so it was a big learning curve. Running your business is a learning curve anyway, but then to enter a completely different industry, I think bravery is needed.
Yeah.
Like stupidity.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is. I think
yeah.
So that was what, did you say late 2018?
That was the initial idea, and then Jo quit her job then in the January of 2019, and I stayed in my job until June of 2019. So it's been just over a year now that we've both been working full time on the business.
But between October 2018 and the time where I left my role as project manager in January, so October to January, we were just kind of experimenting, playing around, blowing things up. I'm not gonna lie, like literally blowing things up. I had glass in my foot for days. It is really painful. And also we accidentally hotboxed our kitchen once because we were trying, like the first couple of brews, we tried the heat evaporation method, which we don't use now.
No.
There's way too many variables and issues with that, but we were like, we'll try it. But we didn't open any of the doors or windows. I don't know what we were thinking. Luckily, we didn't light a match or anything because it actually would have exploded. And we were just, it was just
we're like, we feel
pure
funny.
alcohol in the. We were just breathing in alcohol, so it was completely beside the point of producing an alcohol-free beer. So if you're doing it at home, don't do that.
Don't do that. Usually not very safe
Open a window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you started off with the home brewing, and where did it go from there? Where did you sort of start? How did it expand from there?
Yeah. Well, when I left my job, we'd gotten to a point where we were like, okay, we know where we're going with the recipes. So we knew we would have 3 within our first year at that point. But we'd hit kind of a wall. We're not brewers by trade. We've taught ourselves and we've learned a lot, but we acknowledge that we have limitations in our knowledge. So we got on board a consultant brewer who's done a lot of work in alcohol-free. So he worked with us very closely. He's got like 30 years brewing experience, just to help us make sure that they weren't just beers that we liked, they were beers that would survive and work on the market. So I think going from January and refining the recipes to finding a brewery to actually brew it, that was an issue. We tried to do it in Wales initially because we really, as a Welsh company, we were really trying to do everything as local as possible. We like to work with smaller local suppliers. Unfortunately, we couldn't find a local brewery. So there was a point where we were like, we can't find anyone to brew the beer. We're actually going to just have to buy a brewery. So there was about a week we were like, oh my God, we need so much money. Where's this money going to come from?
There was nothing that was going to stop us.
Brewery?
It was like, we either brew it ourselves in our kitchen. How many batches do we need?
How do we get a hygiene certificate?
Yeah, or we go and buy a brewery. But luckily, we did end up getting into a great brewery. So that was good.
Well,
and
that was
also
stressful.
During that time, we were also doing a lot of our branding as well, and building a brand and something that was, marketable again, and something that I think consumers can get behind.
Something quite different for the alcohol-free market as well.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the branding? Because like you say, it is different, and I want to ask about the beer as well, because the beer's different as well. But let's start off with the branding. Like, what's the inspiration behind it?
Well,
I feel like Sarah should have the fun in town.
Yeah. Have you heard of drop beers, Robin?
Well, I have in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. I didn't know though. I just thought it was a good name. I didn't realize.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, they're like the carnivorous relatives of koalas. So koalas are all cuddly, and good photo op. Not drop bears. They'll rip your throat out. Yeah. So basically, they jump on you from the trees, hence the name, the drop bear.
Yeah.
So they particularly like to drop on people who don't have Australian accents in them.
and if you're traveling to Australia, you have to be really careful for that.
Absolutely.
So Sarah told me about drop bears when I first met her in Australia, and I believed her for 3 months. So I was going around for 3 months. My family came to visit. I told them. I told all my friends, anyone I met at work, about drop bears. No one corrected me.
Constantly on the lookout.
Yeah.
In fact, I think when you told Australians about it, they were like, "Oh yeah," and they'd add to it, and they'd be like, "Actually, do this."
So I eventually found out, but it's been a bit of a running joke between us.
Yeah.
And I think we wanted something with, well, one, a lot of marketable quality. There's a lot you can do with a character, but also something that's a bit of a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit quirky. In alcoholic craft beer, you do tend to get more, I don't want to say mascot, because I think of those American football games where someone's dressed up, but you know what I mean? Like something there. If you think of like Tiny Rebel with the teddy bear, or even like Brewdog with like the dog, something like that, really.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about the beer as well. So, what was the first? So you say you've got 3 beers now. What were your first ones that you put out?
The Yuzu and the Tropical IPA. They were the first ones to come out.
And using the Yuzu, that I don't think I hadn't seen it done before. So how did that come about?
Yeah, well, I think when we were designing the initial core range, we looked at what we could currently buy, and we were like, okay, well, what can we do a bit different? Still something that a lot of people will enjoy, but something with a bit of difference to it.
Yeah.
So we knew we wanted to add some sort of fruity element to the pale ale, but without it becoming an overwhelmingly fruit beer. So we tried out a couple of different fruits. We did a raspberry one at one point that actually tasted a lot like the Brewdog raspberry sour, actually.
Yeah.
Then we tried a grapefruit one. That wasn't to our taste. We found it a bit too polarizing. And then yuzu, we were like, well, yuzu's quite on trend at the moment. It's one of those foods you see in like Great British Bake Off and everything. I actually didn't know what it was.
Me neither.
It's weird, and it actually looks really weird. It's like a big fat lemon. Yeah,
Knocked around a bit.
Yeah, but it's just got a bit of a unique enough taste without kind of scaring people off, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I hadn't seen it before, and like you, I didn't even know what it was until I saw it, and then I looked it up. And then you've just brought out, or relatively recently, another beer in your range as well.
Yeah. So the Bonfire Stout. So the first beer we ever brewed, because we don't like to do things the easy way, was actually a stout, which is probably one of the hardest beers to do alcohol-free with our method.
To do it well, I think.
Do it well, yeah. So we did a lot of experimenting, but with this one, again, what we saw was, fair enough, a lot of people do like it. A lot of the chocolatey stouts, the sweeter stouts in the alcohol-free market. But what we wanted to create, again, something a bit different.
There's no point recreating something that's already there.
No, there's space for a lot of different flavor profiles, I think.
Definitely.
So yeah, we played around. We always knew we wanted it to be smoky. Coming up with a name for a beer is not easy, though.
That was the
Can I
hardest
just
one.
say that? That was the hardest thing, probably.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, I think it's a good name.
I think it's very representative of what you get.
Yeah. Definitely.
So that's good.
Yeah.
So you're in Swansea, are you? Is that right?
Yes, born and bred.
Is there a bit of a like non-alcoholic, but people taking to it locally, or are you seeing your beers going out? Like who's taking your beers? Who's drinking your beers?
Yeah, I mean, predominantly it's London. We're finding the majority of the demand, but there's definitely a lot in Swansea, Cardiff as well, which is really good.
It's actually surprised me coming from Swansea, like reasonably sized Welsh city. There's quite a drinking culture here. I don't know if you've heard of Wine Street, but it's known as one of the most manic night out streets in the UK, and it's in Swansea. So I was always a bit like, I'm not sure how well this will work locally. I know globally there's big potential, but actually there's a lot of business here, a lot of the wine merchants, a lot of the bars, and also there's a Michelin star restaurants were in there. So we're anywhere from like the little corner pub to a Michelin star restaurant, everything in between. So it surprised me, actually.
But also I think the drive to buy locally now, I think that's what's getting a lot of the local producers or local distributors on board. So that's really good as well.
Yeah,
it's great having like you mentioned before, like Tony Rebel in Cardiff and stuff. Like is there a craft beer scene down in Wales? Is there is that something you're tapping into?
Yeah, definitely. Like in Cardiff, there's quite a lot going on. In Swansea as well, it's picking up, but I'd say probably Cardiff is the hub for now. But we're seeing more and more smaller craft breweries. There's Beer Riff down in Swansea that is really cool. It's exactly the type of brand that we like to be as well. I think, just kind of edgy, in touch with people and what they want, and just really passionate about bringing different flavors to the table.
Yeah, and as a student town as well, there's a lot of demand from the students as well for that kind of craft beer scene.
Yeah,
so that's really cool.
And is that replicated in the with the non-alcoholic beers as well? Are you seeing younger people take into that? What's your sort of customer base?
Yeah, it
very
really
broad.
varies.
It's a broad church for sure.
I think when we launched, we were in the like setting up a business mindset, and we're like, right, this is our demographic.
What's your target customer?
When we launched, it's like this.
Yeah.
We've got 65 plus buying it for whatever reason, like lifestyle, health, but then also the younger generation.
Social change.
We actually went to 2 freshers events last year.
Wow.
One in Swansea and one in Twickenham, and we didn't tell people they were alcohol free until afterwards, and that was interesting because people were really receptive to the beer, but also when we told them that it was alcohol free, they're
like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they actually were really positive about it.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. That's so good. That's something that yesterday I spoke to Millie from Sober Girls Society, and she mentioned going to the university. That as well, like that, I think it's so important to engage with people because it's still so early in the journey of like alcohol-free beer and moderation. So it's amazing that you're doing that and that the people are taking to it.
I think I was just looking for a reason to go back to university, to be honest.
Yeah.
Freebies at those
they had a lot of freebies. But yeah, no, I think it was good because even though I only graduated a couple of years ago, there's such a massive difference from when I was there. Like, I didn't even know alcohol-free beer was a thing. Like, that's how ignorant I was because I just wasn't at all exposed to it.
Yeah.
Now you go there and it's like a talking piece and people are genuinely interested and open to trying it. And it's mad.
That's brilliant. Oh yeah, I think it's so important that what does like the future hold then? What's up next? Like you've got your 3 beers. Like we're just talking. I said before about the people chatting away on the chat, and there's a lot of love for the user, and people have had the bonfire as well, and they're loving that as well. So
nice.
Yeah. What's next then? What's like? Are you going to carry on with this range or look to expand it?
Well, the end goal, I think, is world domination. And until we get there, we won't stop.
We will not stop at anything.
Just, no, but we've actually, lockdown hasn't stopped anything we've been doing. We've actually been really, really busy planning. I think it's been a good time in a way because we can sit down and be like, right, the market's changing, the world's changing. How do we want to fit into it? And where do we want to go? Yeah. So obviously we don't want to give away too much. But, we've obviously, you've probably seen on our social media that we're due to launch a craft lager.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, later this year.
Nice.
So yeah, that's very exciting. And I think that lager tends to be a lot of people's drink of choice, but also an introductory beer as well. So that'll be good. Did you want to add some things?
Well, we've got something exciting happening on Wednesday.
Yes. We can't say what it is yet, but we're launching something exciting on Wednesday.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for that.
Cool. Yeah. Well, it was great. You had your 1 year birthday. I can't believe it's only a year. It's amazing. But
yeah, I know. I know, but at the same time, it's like it feels like forever. Like I feel like we've been doing this for years.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're living it every day. So tell us about how you celebrated your 1 year birthday.
So we did a live stream of us doing a brew. So we let our audience choose. Basically, it was like a choose your own adventure type thing. So we ended up
like Bandersnatch.
Yeah, like Bandersnatch. So it was a black IPA. Was it berries and
black IPA, citrus and berries, black IPA.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we haven't tried it yet.
It's still brewing. So.
Fermenting
rather.
If it's still brewing, there's something wrong. But yeah, it's I think something that we've always been passionate about is transparency and engagement. So that's reflected in a lot of ways with our company. But I think the best way for us to celebrate was not just us two, like, I don't know, talking or posting a picture. I think we wanted to talk to people about it. It's been such a year, like from our investment campaign as well. Like that was such an experience to go through as two young businesswomen and a young company. And to just, I think it's still like a weird feeling to see people sitting there drinking a beer that you've kind of masterminded. It's it goes from like you're sitting at your kitchen table being like, oh, we should try this out, and then it's like on the market, thousands of them are selling and people are drinking and giving reviews, and it's like, oh, this is weird. It's like we in a good way.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and I think because it's happened in such a short space of time, that just like amplifies it. So where can people get your beers from? Where are you available?
Yeah, so we're available on Amazon. Although with Amazon things are restocking a little bit slowly. There's lots of backlogs on Amazon. So if there's no stock there, the best bet is Dry Drinker or Wise Bartender, of course. And then on our website we've got a full list of other stocks.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so direct from you as well. Brilliant. Oh wow, we really look forward to the surprise news on Wednesday. That would be we'll look up for that.
We're taking pre-registrations if you want a 10% discount. So tomorrow I'm closing them tomorrow night.
Okay.
So if anyone's interested, including you, Robin.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds great. Yeah, I like the anticipation.
Yeah, we're genuinely like really excited ourselves, and I'm not just saying that to make it look exciting. They're like, oh my god, I can't wait.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, cool. And good luck with the birthday beer as well.
We'll let you know how that is.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it, and really good luck in the future. It's been fantastic to watch you like just rise up so quickly to where you are now. So good luck with it.
Great. Thanks,
Thank you so much. See you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Bye.